Let us look into the concept of CDN or Content Delivery Network. Let's say we have a user right here and we have a particular server, and this server must be located in some geological location, right? So let's say this server is located in India. Now, if a user is located in India itself and that user requests some data or like sends a request to the server, then the server will respond with a normal or like some response time which is fine because the user is in India and the server is also in India, so it won't take much of a time. But let's say the user is not in India, the user is located in some other country, let's say the United States of America. So if the user is at a country which is very far from the origin server, then what happens is if now the user sends a request to the server, since it is at a greater distance, the server will take a greater amount of time to respond. So let's say if this took, for example, 100 milliseconds of time to get responded, then this request by the user, which is from the USA, will take a lot more time, let's say 500 milliseconds, or even let's say 1000 milliseconds. So we can see like if the server is situated very far away from the user, then it would take a lot of time for the request to go to the server, and then from the server again a response will be sent. So overall, this request response cycle or the round trip takes a lot of time if the server is located far away. So to solve this problem, we have something known as a content delivery network. So what CDN is basically a group of servers or basically a group of cache which help us to deliver content in a much faster manner. So let's say if our origin server is present in India and we have a client or someone or a user sending request from the US. So what we do is we have we have a server, we have a cache server which is located in the USA. So now what happens is this server is very near for this US user. So the next time if the user requests like needs some data from our server or needs to send a request to our server, it will go to our edge server or the CDN server. Now for the first time, of course, there is no data present in the server or the cache, therefore it will have a cache miss and it will take the data from the server. But from the next requests, whenever the user sends request, then the data will be available in the cache and therefore it will be returned to the user in a much faster manner because we will get a cache hit. For the first time, we got a cache miss because the data was not present in the server, but from the subsequent times after this, we got a cache hit. And what basically happened is the user got the same data in a much faster manner, or the request was served and the response was served in a much faster manner as compared to the original route. In the original route, what happened is the request had to travel a long distance, go to the origin server, and then the response had to come back again. But here, since this server is located very close to the user, and it is a cache server, so the request goes to this cache, and then the response also is very fast and comes in a very fast manner to the client. So we had a much faster delivery of content to the client as compared to our normal process. This is the basic concept of content delivery network. And this CDN is basically a group of networks. So let's say we can have CDN in multiple different countries. So we have, let's say this CDN, we can have a group of servers in, let's say we have a server in the US. Then let's say we have a server in another country like Japan. Then we have a server in some other country or some other geographical area, let's say Australia. So in this manner, what happens is no matter from where the user sends a request, like the user can be from anywhere. So if the user sends a request, it will reach the nearest server which is present to the user. Let's say if the user is from New Zealand. Now, if the user is from New Zealand, the nearest server for the user would be the Australian server, right? So the request for the user would reach the Australian server, and the Australian cache server would respond it in a much faster manner as compared to the normal server, which was, let's say, located in India. So let's take an origin server. Let's say this is our origin server. So if a user from New Zealand requests some data, then basically what happens is that request, instead of going to the origin server by traveling a lot of distance, it goes to the nearest cache server or the nearest edge server, which is the Australian server right here. And the Australian server sends a response in a very quick time because it is present near the user, and so it takes very less latency, and the user basically gets the data in a much faster manner. Now let's say if we have another user, if we have another user who is present in South Korea, let's say. Now, for a user who is present in South Korea, it would be very impractical to again reach the origin server because the nearest server for the user would be the Japan server, not the origin server. So for this user, it goes to the Japan server, and then the Japan server sends a response back to the user, and the user gets whatever data he or she needed. So this is the basic understanding of CDN. And here, this is a network basically. So all of this that you see here is a network of cache servers. And this network is basically known as the content delivery network right here.